Careful preparation, prayer and a dangerous journey shape Ezra chapter 8, as Ezra gathers another group of exiles to leave Babylon for Jerusalem. After receiving the support of King Artaxerxes and committing himself to teaching God's law, Ezra must now lead families and valuable temple treasures across a long journey while trusting God for protection along the way. The chapter begins by recording the family heads and genealogies of those who traveled with Ezra during the reign of Artaxerxes. Among them were descendants of Phinehas, Ithamar, David, Parosh, Pahath-Moab, Zatu, Adin, Elam, Shephatiah, Joab, Bani, Bebai, Azgad, and Adonikam. Altogether, a substantial group of men was gathered, accompanied by their families. Ezra assembled them beside the river that flows toward Ahava, where they camped for 3 days. As he examined the people and priests, Ezra discovered an important problem. There were no Levites among them. Because Levites were needed for service connected with the house of God, Ezra sent several leading men, including Eleazar, Ariel, Shemaiah, Elnathan, and others, to Iddo, the leader at Casiphia. They were instructed to bring attendance for the house of God. Ezra records that because the gracious hand of God was upon them, they returned with Sherebiah, a capable man from the descendants of Mali, together with his sons and relatives. Hashabiah and Josiah also came with their relatives, along with 220 temple servants whose names were specifically recorded. With the group prepared, Ezra turned his attention to the dangers ahead. There at the Ahava Canal, he proclaimed a fast. The people humbled themselves before God and asked him for a safe journey for themselves, their children, and all their possessions. Ezra had a particular reason for doing this. He had told King Artaxerxes that the gracious hand of God was upon everyone who looked to him, but that God's power and anger were against those who abandoned him. Because of this, Ezra felt ashamed to ask the king for soldiers and horsemen to protect them against enemies along the road. Instead, they fasted and petitioned God for protection. Ezra says that God answered their prayer. Before departing, Ezra selected 12 leading priests and entrusted them with the silver, gold, and sacred articles that had been contributed for the temple in Jerusalem. The treasures were carefully weighed. They included large quantities of silver articles, gold, valuable gold bowls, and polished bronze vessels, considered as precious as gold. Ezra reminded the priests that both they and the articles were consecrated to the Lord. They were responsible for guarding everything carefully until it could be weighed again in the chambers of the temple in Jerusalem. Then the journey began. On the 12th day of the first month, the travelers departed from the Ahava Canal and headed toward Jerusalem. The road carried real danger, but Ezra records that the hand of God was upon them and protected them from enemies and ambushes along the way. Eventually, they arrived safely in Jerusalem. After resting for 3 days, the silver, gold, and sacred articles were weighed at the house of God and entrusted to Meremoth son of Uriah the priest. Eleazar son of Phinehas was with him, along with the Levites Jozabad son of Jeshua and Noadiah son of Binnui. Everything was counted and weighed, and the total was recorded. The returning exiles then offered burnt offerings to the God of Israel, including 12 bulls for all Israel, 96 rams, 77 lambs, and 12 male goats as a sin offering. Finally, the king's orders were delivered to the royal officials and governors of the province beyond the river, who then provided assistance to the people and the house of God. Ezra 8 shows that trusting God did not mean traveling carelessly. Ezra prayed, but he also prepared. He fasted, but he also counted the people. He trusted God with the treasures, but he appointed responsible individuals, weighed everything before departure, and checked it again upon arrival. That balance gives us a practical lesson. Faith and careful preparation can work together. Trusting God does not require us to neglect responsibility. We can pray for guidance while planning wisely, seek protection while taking sensible precautions, and trust God with the outcome while faithfully handling what has been placed in our care. Ezra and his companions have now reached Jerusalem safely, but an unexpected problem is waiting for him. In Ezra chapter 9, the leaders approach Ezra with troubling news about unfaithfulness among the returned community. Ezra is overwhelmed by what he hears and responds with grief, confession, and a deeply humble prayer before God.